Do you really have to lift a Jeep Gladiator to make it look tougher? I don't think so. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Automotive JT. So do you really have to lift a Jeep Gladiator to make it look tougher, meaner, more aggressive? You know, I've struggled with this myself. I like mean-looking, aggressive vehicles, particularly when it comes to trucks. I've always thought they should be lifted, they should have roll bars, they should have big, giant, fat tires that stick out over the edges, they should have loud exhausts, and they should be really, really fast. But do you really need all that stuff to make the Jeep Gladiator meaner, more aggressive? You know, I've had some comments on the channel. Recently, I did a video talking about lifts because I still go back and forth. Do I lift it? Don't I lift it? Right now, I'm actually in the I'm not going to lift it phase. And I got to tell you, I don't think you really need to. Now, there are a couple of things that you do need to do to make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit meaner. Number one, you definitely have to change out the wheels and tires. I mean, unless you have, say, a Mojave or something that came with a bigger, more aggressive, meatier tire, then you're okay. But if you don't, then the Jeep Gladiator screams to have something more aggressive. You know, when I bought this truck, it had those little dinky, almost donutty looking tires, right? Little silver wheels. I mean, nothing that looked really very good in my opinion. So, of course, I did put bigger wheels and tires on it. Now, what I'm running on mine is a 285/70 R17. And by the way, for anybody who's thinking, are there rubbing issues? Do they fit? All that kind of stuff. Absolutely. They fit. There are no rubbing issues. No problems whatsoever. Now, I've prefaced that with saying you may have to go with a Rubicon style bumper to take the ends off so that you have a little bit more clearance up there, or at least get rid of those little air dams that are underneath the headlights, those little plastic pieces. Probably going to have to remove those. But it's a simple thing to do. It's not complicated. And again, what you get out of it in the end is awesome. So, bigger wheels, bigger tires, definitely have to do that. Window tint. You know, it's amazing to me what a difference a window tint can make on a truck. That alone can make it look beefier, more aggressive than just the stock trim level. Now, all you have to tint in the Jeep Gladiator, or any truck or SUV for that matter, are the front two windows. That's it. Everything from their back is already tinted. So if you match that up, it'll be perfect. You don't have to spend a fortune. Now, I will say you do have to be a little bit careful, because if you go with something crazy like limo tint, 5%, you're probably going to have a problem, because I think in most states, if not every state, that is illegal and you can't have that on your truck. For me, I've got, and you guys can see in here maybe a little bit, I've got 20%. I will say that is not legal either. I think legal where I am is 36%, something like that. So I'm a bit under. I have never had a problem though, never been pulled over for tint, never had anybody question it as far as the law goes. So I think as long as you're not doing anything you shouldn't be doing, like speeding, driving recklessly, anything crazy, you're probably not going to have a problem. The law is not going to pull you over for simply a tinted window most times. I'm sure there's one or two people out there that have gotten it, but not typically. So for me, it's worth the risk. I think it's lovely. That's right, I said lovely. So what else? Well, a couple other things. Maybe a new front bumper. I've got the Rubicon style bumper on mine. It looks great. I think it makes the front end look meaner. I've got the blacked out front grille. It's awesome. And of course, I put the little cages, the little protectors on both of the headlights. That's really all you have to do. A lift, and part of the reason I go back and forth on the lift, honestly, is because I'm concerned that it's going to ruin the ride quality of the truck. I had lifted my 2020 Toyota Tacoma, and the ride quality suffered, especially comparing it to the new 2021 Tacoma that I have right now. Rougher, didn't handle quite as well, obviously louder. You might hear a little bit more noise in this Jeep Gladiator because of the tires in this case. And really, I think it's not so much the lift, although depending on what kind you get, I think a lot of people go with a block and spacer type. That compacts the suspension a bit, the shocks, the springs, all that stuff. And that's why you get a little bit, I should say a lot, firmer ride than what you had before. And of course, the tires, depending on how big you go, are heavier and are going to eat up a little bit of that off-the-line acceleration. But in mine, I think I've kind of compensated for that with the Sprint booster. When I hit the gas pedal in this truck, it goes. There is no lag. So maybe it kind of compensates a little bit for that larger, heavier tire size as opposed to doing some sort of a re-gear. That's a funny thing. People always talk about that. If you go with bigger wheels and tires, you're going to need to re-gear. You got to re-gear. You hear that all the time. Not necessarily true. It really depends on how big you go and how sensitive you are to the reduction in off-the-line speed that you'll have in the Jeep Gladiator. Now, mine, I say I go back and forth on the lift. It's more back than forth because I do like the way that it looks. You can see it a little bit there in the beginning. I do have a negative offset on my wheels. That pushes my tire out a little bit, probably about anywhere from 1.5 inches to maybe 2 inches. I'm not exactly sure. Hard to measure how far tires stick out. But irregardless, it looks awesome the way that it is. It gives it a tougher, wider stance on the road, and never a bad thing to have a wider stance in a Jeep. You know, they're kind of narrow and tall anyway, so anything you can do to increase stability, I think, is a good thing. So I wouldn't probably recommend it. I mean, if your heart is set on having a lift, it'll look awesome when you're done, that's for sure. I've seen many a Jeep Gladiator that has a lift, and they really do look good. Put those big old giant 35, 37-inch tires on there, and it's going to be bad arse. But you're going to sacrifice a bit. You're going to sacrifice ride quality. You're going to sacrifice power, probably handling a bit, unless you go ahead and bite the bullet and do the re-gear. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Are you of the lifting ilk? And if you are and you haven't done it, what's been holding you back? What's the big decision? And I'm not talking about the cost here. I'm more concerned about what it's going to do to the geometry and the handling and the comfort and all that stuff of the truck. Is that holding you back? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about my 2021 Toyota Tacoma, and Rob Motive FST, all about my 2021 Toyota Tundra. Check them out, and if you're interested, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.